Try that. Okay, testing, testing. Let's see if this now works. Try that. Okay, cool. It looks like it's working. Testing, testing. Okay. So basically what I want to do is take a look at the lap of Trial Mountain, comparing CRV with myself, seeing as though CRV was incredibly quick yesterday, as he always is. And where I felt like I was competitive within my usual expectation of the people who I will be matching. What's really interesting to me is just how CRV was able to be so much quicker, even on top of that. So I have the captures from our 2 fastest laps from yesterday. Unfortunately, the quality is not that great because it's captured from YouTube. It's probably a little bit better for me than what you guys are seeing on the stream ends, but we'll try to go through it and see. So yeah, we've got the laps lined up pretty much as well as I can here, and we will hold on, I'm just going to go into my OBS and turn this preview off, otherwise it'll be a bit glitchy. Okay, so approaching turn 1, we're essentially coming in with exact same amount of speed, 251 k's per hour here. Turning point seems pretty much identical. This is, I mean, it's slightly with the timings off, but close enough. Basically identical turn-in speed here. You see that I've already scrubbed off more pace. It's hard to say. It looks like he might still be on the throttle, but the white of the curb just makes it a bit difficult to see. So he may come off the throttle just slightly later than what I am. You can see that already there's about a 10 km/h difference, and I actually, yeah, it's because I jump on the brake here. You see, I've got braking input on the left, but he does not brake at all for turn 1. It's just complete turn in. It's hard to see where his steering angle is exactly. It's just about there, at just past the 200. Same for mine, so fairly similar on the turn in. But yeah, just the amount of speed he carries over this first curb, 238 versus 220 kind of thing, 232 actually. That's just from not braking. So he's already gained a bunch of time there, and you see that if we come over the second part of the curb, again, for some reason he's running a very high, I noticed this actually on the live event as well, is that he bumps up the exposure when he plays. So when we reach this kind of second part of the curb, I'll just step forward with my keyboard here. You see he's already this far ahead of me. The road sign is just touching the lap counter. He's going 224. I am doing 220. So a couple of frames already lost just in that first sector. And then the confusing thing is here is like we're both. I guess I have a little lift, don't I? Whereas he's flat the whole way, or does he lifts as well? Let's see. So he comes through. Yeah, he does lift. In fact, he lifts earlier than me. He does get back on the throttle. I lift a little bit later. And just the differences in where we lift there, it's his speed is already gaining more than what mine is. Although we catch up here, 229, 228, 229, 227, so fairly even there. And then I'd say the exit speed is not greatly significant. Hey, awesome. Jack's win and CRV's win is quite similar. Like CRV had better quality hot shot, but Jack had a little bit better overall pace. Is that so? I didn't see what Jack's lap times were like. CRV did make a mistake though. You see on lap 11 he has a 1 minute 52. So he lost 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds really on that lap, because obviously he would have been able to do another low 49. And in fact, his lap 8 and 9 just being, yeah, I guess he didn't get a 48 on his second stint. I don't know if it's possible to get a 48 on the second stint or not. Okay, so let's take a look at the approach to the tunnel here. So we're about 1 kilometer difference. It's not a huge amount. You can see the distance between the yellow barrier and the timing thing as to how much I've fallen behind. And when's he getting on the brakes? So he's already starting to dip into the throttle here. But obviously I'm a little bit far behind here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just catch up the amount that we want. So where do we want to get to? Oops. Hold on. If the cut is there, we'll just catch mine up to the same amount. 1 second, bear with me. Okay, so now we're pretty much back on. Is that right? 1 second. Okay, I mean, close enough. All right, so we'll move forward. He starts to get off the throttle maybe just slightly earlier than me. He's going up to about 90% brakes. I go to full brakes. I've shifted down to third gear earlier than he has. So if we try and watch that in real time, let's see what it looks like. It's not going to let me do it. My computer's just not fast enough. It's easier to run it to that. So I shift down to third gear earlier. We enter the tunnel about the same time. I would say maybe I'm a little bit more to the left than what he is. You can see the steering angle is very, very close. The cornering speed is also quite similar here. There's not a huge amount of difference like there was on turn 1. It's just a few kilometers here and there. We're still turning in. I shift down to second just slightly earlier there as well. But you'll now see that he's actually scrubbed off more speed than me. So let's take a look at the braking there. I would say it's pretty even on the braking, so there's not a huge difference in that. You see that he's just reached the left-hand side of that sign slightly earlier than me, so he's gained a little bit there, maybe a frame or two there. I get tighter here on the corner. We're still doing same speed here, 127. Just zoom out of my timeline a little bit here. $122. I dropped to 121, and now he's already back on the throttle. So he's on the throttle, full throttle. I'm starting to feather it in, and you see how much of a difference that gains. Even though he comes out of the throttle there, just the amount of initial speed he gained. It's hard to understand how quickly he gained speed difference there, just from like an almost imperceptible amount of full throttle for just like the smallest amount of time. It's a shame that I can't do exactly so this is what's going on here. Why does my throttle flash red but his doesn't? You see that there? When I go from second to third, does his do that? Okay, it does, but because he doesn't have much throttle, that's why. So he's shifting up slightly before he's on throttle. But yeah, just look at the amount of excess speed he gains. It's like 6 k's per hour in just a couple of frames there, right? And now he's, yeah, going to carry that all the way down the hill here. 178, 180. So he gets all the way up to 182. I get to 180, so it kind of catches up by the end, but does he get on the brakes earlier here as well? Okay, so he's starting to go on the brake. Whereabouts? What's a good reference? So kind of when he's in this white sign on the right-hand side of the track is when he gets on the brake. When do I get on the brake? Same place. So yeah, our braking marker is very, very similar. He's a little bit further over to the left than what I was daring to do. We both get down into first gear here. We both shift to second at the exact same time, but obviously because he's actually later into the corner already. So he's in first gear for a little bit longer than what I am. And unfortunately, with the way the track is, it makes it very difficult to see. And so actually, you can kind of consider I get on the throttle sooner than what he does into this corner. So that's interesting. I wonder, is it going to cost me at all? Is my car going to understeer wider than his does or something like that? It doesn't particularly look like it. 132 by the guy, 132 by the guy. And by this line, 155. By this line, 155. So I'd actually say that that right-hander was very even between us. I'm not sure if I gained any time back on him by going on throttle sooner, but I don't think you can say that I lost any time on that right-hander, which surprises me because I thought that was a corner where I was losing time. But it looks like, at least on this lap, I didn't. But you can see the amount of time just lost in general. Obviously CRV here on the left is now at this timing line, and I am not. So I will cut my video and catch it up to this point. So cut it there, and then let me just catch mine up. Unfortunately, I can't get it right on the correct place. Okay. So you see, I did a 29.8, he did a 29.54, so 3.5 tenths. I can't exactly see, it's 28.9 or something like that for me. All right, let's go to this next corner here. So, similar to his insanely talented. Yeah, I know that, but I'm not saying. Obviously, the answer is going to be he's quicker than me everywhere, and he is more talented than me. But the thing I want to do is to go through this just so I learn myself where I can improve. All right, so we both managed to get over here quite well on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, with the way the track lighting is, it makes it hard to see. He's on the brakes later than me, it looks like, because at this point, I'm already down to 164. He's at 169. It's just the track lighting is making it really difficult to see exactly what's going on here. I mean, if anything, our brakes kind of come on almost at the same time, right? Like, okay, at what point am I on? For sure, you could say there. So 1, 2, about 3 frames to match. You can call me Hull. I'm cool with that. Thomas had a real Hull moment last night. He chucked a hissy fit in his race. Alright, so minimum apex speed on this right-hander, 128 to 125 roughly. Where's our throttle at? So He's actually later on the throttle again. Another thing I'm noticing is I'm going on throttle before the gear change. Whereas for another time, he has not throttled on before the gear change. Now, I do wonder, is this creating an instability in my car? No, I haven't tried the CRV time trial. I would never do a CRV time trial, even if you paid me money. I really dislike that track. So he brings in a lot less throttle here, where pretty much even on the exit speed. If anything, you could say I'm just slightly ahead on exit speed here. Who is going to make it to the tunnel first? I'd say, I mean, it's hard to get the exact match on the frame, but we're like, yeah, within a frame of each other there. So that's again surprising because that right-hander, maybe I just hooked it up really well on that particular lap. I think in general I was struggling on that right-hander. So those two right-handers, I guess at least on this lap, I did well enough to kind of match CRV. And now I suspect that there's going to be a big time loss on this lap. Sorry, on this corner here. Let's see. How does it compare? So we both do shift down to third. The amount of braking is, I'd say, reasonably even. He's on the brakes still later than what I am. Okay, do I reapply the brakes here? Let's see. Yeah, I guess I do. So I'm braking, then I'm off the brake. And then I think at this point, I guess I'm like, well, I'm not far over enough. I feel like I'm coming in too fast, which 150 versus 144, maybe that's the truth. And so I'm reapplying the brake here as he's already getting on the throttle. And yeah, now you see a massive speed difference. That said, he's not on full throttle, is he? He's having to feather the throttle because he's gone on it so early. So in terms of exit speed, it's not hugely different. It's like 1k per hour, which down the course of the straight is going to be obviously worth some time. Yeah, you kind of get it now. It's like 2k's by the time we get to the tunnel. See, the problem is that it's very hard to actually fix that. There's nothing I can look at here and say, well, I need to do this differently in terms of technique, because it's simply just a mistake that my initial amount of braking that I put in wasn't enough for me to feel comfortable to slow the car down enough. And so I'm having this second braking phase before going on to the throttle. And it's like, it's the small difference of being, 2k's per hour different on the exit, but that's going to be equate to a tenth, maybe a tenth and a half by the end of the straight. Say 237. I mean, I guess at this point now the car reaches kind of a terminal velocity in the sense that even though you do lose on that initial amount of speed, you're kind of close the gap as the drag increases quicker for the car who had the faster exit. Hey, what's up, Caleb? so we see now he's reached the curb there. And I'm, what, 59, 187, oh, 1, I guess that's a 6-7 maybe. $271. It's like a whole tenth, right? So lose a tenth down the straight because of 2 k's per hour difference on. Where's the braking zone here? Have I gone past it? Why do I not see? I guess there's the sign. I might use this curb as a way to catch up. So if we go to that point for CRV, and now I will cut. Can't find that. Okay. So ultimately, top speed reached 274, 275. So I think it's possible that me riding out the gear longer actually helped me get a slightly better top speed there. Okay, so where are we braking? So I've gone on the brakes a little bit early here. He's basically 2 frames ahead on the brake. And you see again, he's not slowing the car down as much as what I have at this point. He's still in 3rd gear as well, whereas I'm already now at the point where I shift to 2nd and start to head towards the apex, where he's still in 3rd. Although interestingly, now he's holding the brake longer into the corner though, isn't he? You see my speed is now dropping less than what his is. Now you see, yeah, he's really dropping the speed, getting tight in on the corner. And then I've had like a shift up to 3rd there. So he comes in slightly tighter to the corner. When are we going full throttle? So he's feeding in the throttle there, and now he's full throttle. Where I've let the car coast just a slight bit in 3rd before going full throttle. And then yeah, we hit the sign there. So just from the apex to the exit, he's gained that 2 k's per hour. Because I'd say by the time we were at this tree in the center, we're pretty much even there, right? He's a little bit over closer to the left. But otherwise, from entry to this point, it was like pretty even. And then it's just that slight bit earlier on the throttle. He definitely used. You can see here on the right that there was more space Sunni on the right, so I definitely could have gone on throttle earlier there. And again, unfortunately, it's not really a case of different technique. It's just him having the bravery and talent to get on the throttle earlier. I had a better exit. He just took the corner faster. His car went 2 kilometers faster on the exit just ahead. At the exit of the last corner of the onto the back straight, I thought it was ahead by 2Ks. Let's go back and just quickly take a look. Where are we? Here. So if we take him at the entrance of the tunnel, 173. Yeah, you're right. It's just I didn't account for giving myself the extra 2 frames. So yeah, we actually did have identical exit. He just had more speed through the corner. All right, so up the hill here. Let's see how we go. So both down to second gear. So he takes first gear, gets down to 104. Down to 102, but it's very, very similar. Just past the rock, just past the rock. Okay, so by the time he gets past that sign, he's at 142. I'm at 142. So I'd say we were actually pretty much even there. We're just accounting for the amount he was ahead already before the corner. I'll catch up at the beginning of this yellow here on the side, so we can compare the last few corners evenly. Okay. So at this point, entry of the corner, we're both 179. I think he'll probably go further over to the right here for the entry of the corner. I'm down into second already. Hold on. So I'm downshifting earlier than him, right? Third gear, down to second. I think this is one thing actually where I have been consistently different in that I'm downshifting earlier than what he has. He's allowing the car to brake in third gear for longer. So this is something technique-wise that I could actually go and try and do. Okay, both down to first gear. So he's carried a little bit more speed. From the entry to the apex, so this allowed him to get ahead. About 2 or 3 kilometers faster on the apex, isn't he? Up to third gear, both of us. First gear, second gear for me there. second gear. So he shifts to second later. Third gear on throttle. So I actually do beat him on the throttle this time, don't I? Because I'm a little bit slower into the corner. But again, there he hits the sign there, and I'm just slightly behind. So again, it's not a huge difference as some of the other corners are, but just a little bit of gained. And nothing there really different on the exit, is there? He's going to hit 144 at that sign. Okay, he gets 2Ks up on me at that point, actually. $153 at the tree. 154 rather. 153. So how does he gain this little bit of extra speed? I guess it's never... He's on full throttle right on the apex. He's a little bit further over to the left than what I do. Yeah. Again, he carries the extra speed into the apex. I do wonder if it's because I'm shifting down to second earlier than what he does, so the engine braking is slowing the car more. And then even though I got on the throttle just slightly earlier, it didn't matter. He was on it fast enough anyway that... And we're both only like 85-90% on the throttle there anyway. I think by the time we go full throttle, I'm full throttle like just there. Him just there. So there's not a huge difference in timing. And so just the extra speed he carried into the apex, he carries through to the exit. I didn't gain any advantage from going earlier on the throttle on the exit. All right, now down to the chicane. I know that he is going to cut a lot more of it, I believe. Okay, let's cut here. Yeah, he did. He lost like 3 seconds. That's why, because I stopped watching his stream pretty early on because I realized it was just going to be basically watching him time trial, and switched over to Manikayo's stream. And then I was making dinner and kind of took my eyes off it for a bit and came back, and I was like, wait, Twitchy's only like a second and a bit or 2 seconds behind CRV. Wow, Twitchy's doing really well. And then, yeah, I realized afterwards, I mean, Twitchy was doing really well anyway, but I realized afterwards that CRV had that 3-second mistake. Alright, so should I try and even this up a little bit more? It's hard to get the exact match on it. Can I get an extra frame there? No, it's not going to play nice with this frames, is it? I guess I can cut on this one. And this one. Did this work? Okay. So my brake marker was usually, yeah, just before this dark spot. It looks like we both come on the brakes basically the exact same point. This time, similar down to second. Okay, braking is pretty much identical. I've gone down to first earlier. Is that going to change anything? He's holding seconds a little bit longer. First now for him. It doesn't really make a difference, does it, there? So I'm already starting to come off the brake here. He's coming off. And I think he's going to clump over the curb a lot more than what I do. Because I usually found if I went this tight on the curb, it just gave me bad traction afterwards. He shifts to second, I shift to second. He's on throttle. We're both on throttle here. I'd say we're about even there. He's got, again, just a couple of k's per hour advantage, doesn't he? Oh wait, CRV had damage and a 1 second penalty? I held on to 3% brakes for longer. Hold on, let me take a look. Is he off the brake earlier than me? I need to zoom out on my timeline. Yeah, so he's off the brake right there, right? And I hold on to it a little bit more. 68 to 65. Again, that was, yeah, it was something I was doing to just hold the stability of the car a little bit, because I felt that when it came off of the brakes completely, that the rear would get a little bit retarded. And then I know here he's going to go second gear exit. I preferred third for the consistency. So he's going to hit the shadow at 130. I hit it at 126, just slightly behind. I should make a little bit back though once he has to do the shift to third. So he's at the wall at 151. I'm at 148. Let's see. The penalty line is not going to be helpful, is it? 161, 159. He gets the shadow at 215, 214, 215, 223. So at what point? It's like he hits it when I'm at 587. Oops. Okay. I skipped back too far. Is it 587 or 687? Yeah, it's 587, right? So he gained 4/10 in that part, it seems like. Which is a pretty significant amount, right? 31071. Let me just write this down. So I started the chicane at 31071, and he started it at 30234. So at that point of the lap, he's 8/10 up on me. And then what's our final lap time now? So he finishes at 48.744. And I finished the lap at 49.832, I believe. So let's do some quick math. 49.832 minus 31071. So it took me 18.761 seconds from 9, and his chicane time was 48.744 minus 30.234. 18.51. So again, 2/10 in the chicane. And 8/10 over the rest of the lap. Yeah, so basically corner entries. Corner entries, maybe I'm downshifting too fast as well. So those are probably the... If there's... Well, okay, the first huge thing to try is this. I wish I had seen this before. I probably should have done this analysis before the race. Just the amount of time gained here is just crazy. With him not braking for turn 1. So I may go practice this later and see if it's something that I could have done. At least then I'll know for the future. Because I guess if we... compare, where can we compare to? I guess just the first sector, right? Where is it? So he's at 29.5 versus 29.871. Something like that, right? He's 29.534 on the first sector. And mine was, I think, 29.895. No, he doesn't brake for turn 1 at all. Take a look. So zero brake input, and he crosses over turn 1 apex 14 kilometers per hour faster than what I do. He then has an early lift to get over nicely for turn 2. I have a slight lift as well, but don't take as much of the cut. So he's a little bit faster over turn 2. And then that just enables him to carry more speed through that. I mean, obviously, usually I try to get over this curb as much as possible, but it's all easier said than done. But yeah, this first part here, this has to be... How much is it worth? Let's just go to the exit of this part here. Again, it's really, really hard to see. It's a 7, 8. He's like 8, 10 there. It's just too hard to tell with the quality. I'll have to just go look at the original streams later and take a look at how much time he gained actually. If you kind of come to the beginning of the shadow, 15,950 versus 16,121, like 2 tenths there. And then the rest is just this earlier throttle here. You see how quickly it goes from 122 to 129, whereas my throttle just does nothing this whole way. Gets me to like 124 at that point. So how many of these corners am I earlier down to a low gear than him? This one, we're both second at about the same time. This one, where I'm earlier down to first gear for this one. Basically identical down to second there. Earlier down to second here. Earlier down to third, earlier down to second. Okay, he goes to second at what point here? Just as the sign is hitting his timing thing. Whereas I'm, yeah, again, earlier down to second here. Okay, I'm already in first, even though I'm behind on the track, way behind. So I'm first there at the rock. He's in second this whole time. But okay, so by the time he reaches the middle of this dark rock, he's at 149. What am I at? Like 140, between 146 and 143. Again, earlier down to second. So yeah, I think that's the two takeaways, is that in turn one, he was not using the brake, and just everywhere else, he's not shifting down as quickly as what I am. It's because I know this is what I do, is that when I hit the brakes, I downshift as a rhythm instinctively. You can basically see anytime I'm coming into a corner, I spend very little time on the brakes in the original gear, whereas his full brake in third before going down to second. Let's see if the same is true here. It's a bit hard to tell because you're shifting faster. Okay, so for this one, he's down to third on the brake as well, but in general. especially important for downhill corners to hold higher gears. Yeah, well, when the downshifts can unsettle the rear for sure, and because I guess when you're going downhill, all the weight is on the front of the car, so it is especially bad. The funny thing is that I thought for this corner here that I was shifting to second very late. Like, for this corner here, I was very deliberately shifting late down to second. And it's still so much earlier than what he does. He just holds third for so long. Like, look at all this time I'm in second gear compared to him. And funnily enough, on this one, he actually does have a slower entry speed than what I do. It's one of the few corners where I actually carry more speed into the corner. Yeah, but anyway, that's going to be the analysis over. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will catch you next time. Bye.